Hey guys, Troy here, K-Band Conversations, partnering with the Chamber on this. So if you haven't already become a member of the Chamber and you own a local business, like, go check it out. There's literally thousands of members. There's all types of benefits beyond just being on this podcast as well that can really help your business become more in the community. I have, like, who has turned into a best friend. On with me today, Andrew Nicastro of the famous Nicastro family, a real Gloucester staple here, owner, operator of Streamography, the donator of time and talent that makes this whole podcast work. Literally, like, I've known Andrew, God, 6 months, 7 months.
We've been doing this for like 6 months now. Yeah.
He's a brother now.
My dude.
In this.
Appreciate you.
Thank you for finally coming on to tell your story with me.
Yeah. I know. You've been saying this for a while, too.
I really wanted this, and you always are like, I like to hide.
I'm a behind-the-camera guy. Yeah.
Not today.
Yeah. No. We had some time after a podcast. We actually just recorded one. And yeah, man, so I was like, yeah, let's just do it. I've actually been mentally preparing because we've been talking about for a while about me coming on, so I've been mentally preparing for being in front of the camera.
Here you are.
Yeah,
so,
we're doing it.
Like I make everybody do, will you give us a gigantic step back and tell us, like, how you got started? Where were you in the world, before Streamography? How you got this started, when it started, to get us to today.
Yeah. And I actually always tell my crew this story. I tell, anyone that asks about how did Streamography get started. I was always a gig guy. I mean, to your point about, the Nicastro clan with Gloucester, we're known for the driving school, right? That was like what we were known for, which my brother, John, owns and operates as of today. People always ask me, like, oh, dude, you don't want to get in the driving school? Like, everyone needs a license. Like, and I get it. I totally get it. It's a great business, but until you're behind the wheel with just brand new driver after brand new driver after brand new driver, that you really understand terror.
Yeah.
Inside a 2,000-pound vehicle.
Takes a special person to want to do that.
It just wasn't me. You know what I mean? I'm not aggressive enough to, like, be a good driving instructor. I was good in the classroom. You know what I mean? I was always good at that part of the teaching. But even still, just doing that, like, it just wasn't for me, being a driving school instructor, Yeah.
So. I don't think I would have the heart for it. Like the literal palpitations or whatever of the heart to deal with it.
Yeah. And, the students, like, they're great in the sense of, like, they want to be good at driving. They want their license. But, like, terror, dude, would be flooding through my brain every single driving lesson.
Yeah, I feel like it's a different world, too. Like, before I got my license, before I even went to driving school, I used to just, like, drive my dad's car, like, in the backyard, literally. Like, we had 2 acres and just literally drive it on dirt, right?
Yeah.
Like, drive it up the road a little bit because we were kind of rural. Like, I drove. No, the first time I got behind a wheel was not with, like, your brother.
Yeah. That with the school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So dumb.
Where I can't tell you, like, that was, even, like, when I was teaching, I was, like, 18, 19, 20, got my license to be a teacher or certification to be a teacher. But nearly every student had never driven or was, like, freshly driving. Like, had done maybe a lesson with their parents, if that.
So you at 19 could have taught somebody to drive?
Yeah. I had my certificate to drive or to teach. Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah. All right, we're pivoting back. Streamography, how'd you get started?
So decided early on not doing the driving school thing. So went to school, got my degree in marketing, and immediately entered the workforce as far as, worked at a place in Boston selling SEO and SEM, right? Google AdWords and whatnot. Hated that. It was more so just sales position than marketing. Jumped to another sales position, and then finally ended up at a company in Danvers as the marketing director doing the marketing.
For the company.
So finally was doing that and did well. I was there for like 6 years. And really found actually a niche with recruitment, like working with people, which was a trend I saw through my life. I liked working with people. And that's where I actually tended to succeed was on the recruitment side. I did very well in marketing. But while I was there, I was also a gig guy. Always had something I was doing on the nights or weekends. And, so I'm in my early to mid-20s, so I was doing gigs a lot. And my buddy Jack LaPiccolo was a DJ. He's no longer a DJ. He's just, he's just doing his thing with with his kid and, all that. But at the time he was DJing a lot and I was helping him a lot. And we were helping with a singing competition at a local venue. Yeah. It was actually a singing competition where people go up and actually get like judged, like legit. And so me and Jack are there DJing. And I was like, dude, like there's some kids like 11, 10, 12 years old that are incredible. Like these kids are crushing it. And the venue was tiny. And I just remember vividly thinking like, why aren't we broadcasting this?
What year is this?
2013.
Okay. Wow, yeah.
2013.
YouTube was young.
YouTube was young. The pandemic hadn't happened yet because everyone always asks like, oh, this is a pandemic thing, right? No, this is well before the pandemic that I was streaming.
Before Uber.
This is before Uber. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, this was early on.
By the way, we can't let it slide. Like Jack LaPiccolo.
LaPiccolo.
That's an A plus name. Shout out Jack. You and your DJing days.
DJ Lopic. Yeah.
Shout out Jack.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
So I was obsessed with this idea. And, Jack was just like, he heard me, but we're in the middle of a gig and I'm trying to tell him about this awesome new idea I have. He's like, dude, like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Can we just do this gig and go home? Like, that's all was going through his mind, rightfully so. But I was obsessed. I got like you said, like, obviously YouTube and Google were still a thing, but the amount of information was still not, especially about streaming, was not what it is today. I had to buy a book about streaming and encoding live video. And
did they even have the gaming?
Twitch wasn't around yet.
You basically invented Twitch.
Yeah. I let them take all the credit.
Yeah, you wouldn't have known what to do with all that money anyway.
No, I don't even want it. It's too much. There's such a thing as too much, right?
Okay, so keep telling this, but my brain is immediately going to also, because we're talking about that time, like streaming live is a bandwidth problem.
It was such a problem in the beginning.
Yeah, we haven't gotten, even we still have bandwidth problems.
Yeah, so much better today though. The amount of like the technology is like ridiculous. Like I can be in the middle of a beach, which I have been, like broadcasting a volleyball tournament in Seaside, Oregon, where they have no internet on the beach, but I can bring some crazy stuff and make it work. So the technology was really bad back then, really bad. So I just had to figure it out. It was really all there was to it. I had to throw money at equipment. The first equipment I bought was horrible. You know what I mean? None of it worked. But there's only one way to know that, right? I couldn't figure it out. So I just then got new equipment, and that new equipment was slightly better until I finally started figuring out what I actually needed to do this stuff. And it was actually, so in a few months after getting started, I started cold calling local organizations, St. John's Prep being one of them. And cold called the athletic director, and his name, Jim O'Leary, just one of those classic athletic directors, like hard-nosed, old school.
Hopefully he had a whistle around his neck.
Oh, dude, like everyone called him Coach O.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and had some state championships like under his belt, you know what I mean? Like 20 years, like 10 years, like a classic athletic director coach, right? So I called him, he took the answer, told him what I was pitching. He's like, all right, come in, show me what you're doing. Came in, met with him. He's like, all right, well, show me. I was like, oh, like you want me to stream right now? Thankfully, I had the gear, and I did like a quick little live stream.
Yeah.
And then he was like, all right, come this Friday.
What was the game?
Football. Oh, I actually don't know who they were playing. I could probably find it.
Oh, I just want to know the sport, yeah.
Oh, football. Yeah. Football, yeah.
So
and
what year
it
was
went
that?
okay. This was in 2013.
Okay. But you have a day job, and you're doing this on the side.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I was the marketing director simultaneously to that for 6 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
People don't get
Pushing
that.
7 years. Yeah.
People don't understand that sacrifice.
Oh, dude, it was nuts. I honestly, when you think back and like, how did I do that? How did I have two jobs where one's a full-time, like I had to be at the office at 7 a.m., having meetings at 7 a.m., not just like walking in and having a cup of coffee. I was meeting with technicians and like.
Then you're like 4:59. You're like, I got to get to St. John's Prep to get the gear ready for the football game tonight.
Zipping out of there, yeah. Have the gear in my car, which is tough in the winter because the gear doesn't like the cold, but has to be there because I have to go right to Danvers, not coming back to Gloucester to go back to Danvers.
Yeah.
Or going wherever I was going, But So that was 2013.
So your first real customer is St. John's Prep.
Yep, who is still a customer today.
Wow.
We do a ton of work with them. Yeah.
And is that like, tell me about who, now we're a little bit further along. This is your full-time gig now.
Yeah, I live stream full-time now. Or now we do more than live streaming, obviously, but.
Tell me about who, like, are your typical customers. So we got schools.
Yeah, so schools, we do a ton of work for. We have experience with it. We also work with Governor's Academy, Landmark. There's a number of them that I could just, Covenant Christian, we do a bunch of work for. We've found like mostly private schools, because like with the public sector, just funding is just so different. You know what I mean? So it's been really hard to get a foot in the door there. But then we do a ton of corporate. And corporate, I mean, as far as live streaming goes, it's a lot of like town halls with a live chat where people can ask questions, or hybrid Zoom events, which that was a very pandemic-y service that came up, where, you know, events were hybrid, where you have some of the presenters are Zoom and then some of the presenters are in-house, but all need to be seen simultaneously by a virtual and in-house audience. You know, it's way more complicated than it may sound, but it was really complicated. But we had to figure out how to react to the pandemic, just like everyone else.
You said town halls too?
Yeah,
like
corporate. Yeah, well, so like a town hall meeting where the CEO is addressing his company.
Oh, and the company
That's
could
a corporate
be
town
remote
hall.
too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Do you ever do like literal town halls? Like, I think 1623 has done like ours in Essex before, as an example.
Like the local cable access covers the municipalities, right?
Okay.
And we actually have worked with 1623, partnered with them to help them, like, if they need some streaming support, right? Because a lot of organizations don't have like the encoders we have, or like some of the gear that we have specific to streaming. So like I'm tight with Tyler over there, and I'll be like, oh, Tyler, whatever you need, like, let me know.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do a ton of corporate, but obviously getting into streaming and video, it was very natural that we got into cinematography and videography.
Okay.
We do a ton of that stuff for like SoftBank Robotics in Boston, Fidelity in Boston. Like that's where their like Boston headquarters is.
And what are they recording? Like, what are they shooting? Is this like internal corporate, like best practices?
Yeah, we've done some like training videos. We've done stuff like that for corporate. Yeah, we've done a ton of that. We've done just straight up promotional videos, product overview. For SoftBank Robotics, they have Roombas on steroids, right? Those robots that go around cleaning. Theirs are literally table height, huge, and they do like casinos and you know, giant office buildings and, you know, hotels. But they wanted to show off their robots and talked about the product and overview type of stuff. So we shot some stuff there.
Like today, if we give you an opportunity to sort of pitch your ideal customer, who would you want more business with? Like if somebody's listening to this and they run a corporate entity, you want more of that? You want more like, hey, if you have a physical product, like I want to help you create a better initial customer experience through audio, video.
Yeah, so I guess I would even, so as far as corporate goes, of course, but think of it this way. If you have a story to tell, I want to help you tell that story. If it's corporate, then if it's a product, of course, I want to help you tell that story in a way that translates on social media, but also your website, right? If it's an event where your CEO wants to tell the story of the last year live to a virtual internal community, then we can help you tell that story in a live event way. If you're a nonprofit, we worked with Pathways over here, right here in Gloucester. We've worked with a number of nonprofits like galas and, you know, stuff where sometimes they want cinematic coverage, sometimes they want to do a live broadcast, right? In either case, they're both stories that are told in just unique, different ways. So, and then on top of all that, obviously we have this podcast studio.
Yeah.
Which is another format to telling your story. So that's, if I were to sum it up in a way, I would sum it up as, if you have a story to tell and you're just not sure of how to tell that story or what are the techniques we can tell that story in, we can chat about it and help walk you through what those processes are.
It's aligned with with where we're at and where we're going. I mean, you're just not gonna be able to get away with trying to tell your story with like a static website anymore. You're gonna have to create social media posts. You're gonna have to create a lot of social media posts. You're gonna have to create a lot of content. You can't even just do a podcast. You've got to do this podcast that we're doing now, and you've got to create the reels, and you've got to create the social experiences, and then there's so much more to it. People want to like connect with the humans and then with the brands and with the products and be able to understand it. Just more and more.
Yeah.
And you guys have all of that to do it. You go on site, so you'll go to people's events. You're on the road all the time. Like you're on nightly events. How many nights a week? Like
we're doing like four on like a slowish week, 3 to 4 on a slow week. But in our busy season, we're doing like 2. We're doing like
multiple crews, different events.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then the podcast studio too. It's like we're recording this now, but there's another podcast coming in after us.
Right. And from one episode, right? Let's say it's a 30-minute recording. Think about 30 minutes of recording. How many snippets of social reels can come out of that?
Yeah.
If we really want to be picky, sure, we can say, all right, let's only narrow it down to 10 good ones. But if you're just looking for volume, which a lot of times for social media, that's it. Like, obviously you want it to be quality as far as the messaging, but a lot of times you just need content. Just pump out content.
Yeah, and tell your story and connect with your own guests and customers and have them tell their experience. I mean, anybody can do that. I mean, from a hospital system could do it, talking about their different patients and programs and, radiology versus oncology versus whatever. I mean, you could do it at the corporate level, talking about your different customers and people that you market to. Every single, like, there's a podcast for everything now.
Yeah.
Like you could create it for literally anything, or you could just come in here and you could record something about your specific marketing need. If you had a niche product, you could bring it in and you could talk about it.
Yeah. Remember when we had the vernal pond team in here?
Oh, yeah.
We set up like a location where we set the animals.
Yeah.
And then our cameras are obviously able to just zoom right in and get nice and tight and show them doing their thing. But same thing with like whether it's a retail and you have some products you want to show off. We could create a product demonstration while also talking about the product. For sure. Another one I think is really important is recruitment. Because I can't tell you how many organizations struggle with recruitment these days. As far as like finding not just a person, but the right person, a good person. Versus just having a conversation about your current people and the benefits that they have by being a part of it, even interviewing employees.
Yeah.
Right?
Talking about the different jobs within the organization.
Right.
I know we had COVID happen, and that created this work from home environment for a certain subset of the working world. And it seems like some of it's going back to the office, but it's never going to go back to the way it was. You're always going to have, there's a certain type of company that's always going to have some remote teams.
Right.
Just from the fact that talent's all over the place. And like, as long as there can be true accountability, like if you live in Gloucester or your company's in Gloucester and the guy is in Salt Lake City, I mean, are you really going to turn down getting the right guy? But then it opens up the door to you. It's like, how can we get the best talent, which creates this hybrid or remote work environment? But how can we create like a culture in communication with people? And that's where you come in.
Right.
You can
telling your story.
You can record.
Right.
That's the other thing too. Is like you can get a 2-for-1, right? I'm assuming people can. You can go out and you can record a town hall or a football game, and you can stream it live, and people could watch it live. But there's no reason why you couldn't then turn that into a YouTube channel.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We do stuff like that all the time.
That you can get evergreen content.
We'll record an event and then do what's called a simulated live, where we'll simulate the live stream at a later date, just before editing or whatever purposes may be needed. But simulated lives are how like Apple does a lot of their big stuff. Google, like most of their live streams aren't live. They actually pre-record a lot of it, edit, maybe live stream some of it, like as far as like an actual human being looking at a camera, but most of it's simulated live. record to tape.
What's next? Like what's in your brain right now that you're like, this is where we're going? Like
The direction of streamography. I would say interesting is that question. As far as what's next for streamography, I just want to do what we currently do better. It's not like I'm looking on introducing any new, as far as like the services we do offer for all our live event productions, we also do audio engineering, right? That's a new service we introduced in the last year and a half. Projection services like at the cut, which, we'll see what happens with the cut, but projection services, we've done that for a ton of it. So if you have a corporate event and the venue doesn't have projection, any capabilities, we could bring a high-end projector or a screen and help you set all that up. And then we also do lighting design for events. But the thing is like,
can I interrupt you?
Sure.
Can I tell you what I want next? Like selfishly, if you've ever been in like a hockey rink, there's a thing called Live Barn.
Oh yeah,
it's a streaming service.
I'm very familiar. Oh yeah,
everybody should know what Live Barn is. If not, go Google it. I want Live Barn for like everything. I want like. If I can't go to the Shinloon?
The Shaolin Lu.
Shaolin Lu. I always mess that name up.
Yeah.
I gotta get that down.
Yeah.
If there's an awesome event there, I want to be able to live stream that experience in the comfort of my house. I don't like to go to Patriots games anymore because the 50-inch high definition TV in the comfort of my home.
Yeah.
In the cheap food and drinks in my own home and with my own company has ruined the experience
of being there in person. You gotta leave early in the morning. Sure, you're gonna tailgate, which is fun, but you're gonna get home late at night. It's a full day of expensive. Right.
There's gonna be some things that I want to go to, and there's gonna be some things that like flat out like people have ruined everything, and like it's really expensive to go there. And I want this option to buy a ticket to the Dave Matthews Band concert.
Yeah.
But not even go.
Right.
But be able to
like pay-per-view, watch it virtually. Yeah. So we do pay-per-view. We've done quite a few pay-per-view events. But just to speak to that point, because I have spoken to the Shaolin Lu, like the cut when they're in the thick of it. I've spoken to venues of that nature about things like this. And to your point of you would love to just stay home is exactly why they don't want to do it. They want the audience physically going to their venue, And trust me, I'm biased to streaming, right? I love the idea. I love the concept. But their fear is that more people will be like you and like me and not want to go at all.
Yeah, but
I know.
Maybe
I
that's
get it.
Okay.
Right. Imagine a concert where like the musicians are there and they sold 1,000 tickets, but there's none in person.
So I'm gonna give you like
imagine that experience for the musicians.
We're off the rails, but I'm gonna give you my idea for them. Like if I had all the money in the world, I didn't have to work to make money anymore. I would love to invite artists in there to do exactly that. To have basically like an acoustic event, because it's perfect. It's a acoustic perfection there, right?
Yeah, right.
And the look is perfection. Cape Ann is perfection. Top artists would come here, right? And I'm talking like weird stuff, not violin stuff. I'm talking like if you did it right, you could get Teddy Swims on an updraft in there, sing his songs, acoustic perfection, with whatever, a single guitar behind there, with the perfect backdrop of the water behind there. It would be like it would be an experience for people in a completely different way, because then you could put it on YouTube. Teddy Swims could get all of that fanfare of the video and the sound that comes from that. It's like internet gold and perfection, because we do a really good job of it, and it would get a ton of exposure. And the place is probably empty 95% of the time, and let's just do it in the off time. Like Teddy Swims is like, he's not doing anything for all I know before the concert. So it's like, Teddy Swims, swing up here. Let's sing something out for a couple hours. Let's create some content. Let's use this venue and crush it.
Yeah.
And then we live stream it, and then we record it, and we post it too.
Yeah, yeah,
It'd be like its own little thing.
yeah.
We can do more of that.
Right. Hey, listen, I'm biased. I'm a big fan, and I've totally have pitched the pay-per-view thing. Another direction I've tried going in, as far as like, this was probably like 7, 8 years ago, that I was approaching local newspapers. Because I don't think it's any mystery that newspapers aren't doing well. Like, I don't think subscriptions for newspapers are going up. Maybe the online version, that I'm unfamiliar with. But even still, like, so I approached newspapers a long time ago about, like, starting, like, a newscast. Like, a localized, like, if Gloucester Daily Times had, like, a newscast, right? Take whatever the content is in your newspaper, and let's just have your newscast talk about it. Right, on a localized, like, Gloucester level, or Cape Ann, right? Gloucester Daily Times serves Cape Ann, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, and you could just tune in.
Right, and then sell sponsorships or ads, like the way the
old TVs did it.
Right, exactly. But instead of on TV, we're on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. We can do Instagram, we can do TikTok, but it's obviously a much different format with the, instead of 16:9, it's 9:16.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But still, like, all that stuff is possible.
Just live all day if you wanted to.
Yeah, if you have enough content to do it. Yeah.
Or it's like live during certain times and then it's replayed.
Exactly. Right. There's a live, like, I don't know, 7 a.m., 8 a.m. morning, but then it's just replaying all day.
Yeah. And you can tune in, and it maybe even has like marks so you can kind of like fast forward.
Like a DVR.
I want to hear this story.
Yep.
We talked about this one time, like just live streaming someone's life, like the Truman Show.
Oh, yeah.
Like if I did that, like, I run a few businesses and whatnot, but it's like, I think that's where we're going, is because what people are watching is effectively like more and more and more reality TV. And some of it to me is just like nothingness, right? It's like,
yeah.
But they're getting to know these people.
Yeah.
It's like, if we get 200 shares of this episode or comments like Troy do it, let's say it like comments Troy do it.
Yeah.
I will live stream my life for a year. Like when we did that, it was so crazy. Like the Truman Show.
That's like, so those Facebook, which I think it's Meta goggles, or maybe not Meta goggles, but they make glasses out there that actually that'll connect to your phone, have a camera in, and actually can do live video. Now, the quality of it, I can't really speak to that because I don't own them, but like you can actually start doing stuff like that pretty easily.
That's coming.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be it.
Oh, yeah.
And then you're just going to like follow. I mean, it may be like ridiculous people at first because that's going to be the reason, but it's like you're going to follow Bobby Flay around.
Right.
Like all day.
Yeah. Like you were saying about getting Jack Johnson in one of the venues here earlier. Like, imagine Jack Johnson like, hey, guys, I'm just going to be surfing today. Like, here, check out what my routine looks like before I get in the water.
Yeah.
And you could follow him around for a couple of hours.
Or just like pop in for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It'd be so cool if you could ask questions too. So like you pop into like Jack Johnson just like at the beach, right? During his slot when he's live.
Yeah.
And you could pop in a question like anything. Jack, what's your favorite song? And he literally says out loud like an answer to your question. That would be pretty cool.
All of that will be possible in the very nearish future.
And you're going to be the front of it.
Yeah. I'll be doing like my cool, I'll be doing my cool event production stuff. I don't know if I'll be in Jack Johnson's goggles, but it'd be cool. I'd love to hang out with Jack Johnson.
Me too. If we retire, we'll move to Hawaii and work on his farm.
Yeah.
I can get down with that.
Yeah.
What's the biggest thing that like keeps you up at night about the business these days?
The biggest thing that keeps me up at night.
You have great staff. You've got Angus. You've got Isaac. These guys are like,
dude, I got the best
tried
staff.
and true guys.
And most of them I've traveled the country with at this point.
Yeah.
Angus and I, we actually traveled to, Angus will correct us afterwards, but I think it was it Denver, Colorado, or Wapaka, Oshkosh, Wisconsin, one or the other. Isaac, I went to Denver, I know for sure with Isaac Aiello. We went to Denver, Colorado.
You were just down in like South Carolina with somebody too.
We do South Carolina every year.
Yeah.
Seaside, Oregon, nearly every year. Pennsylvania, all the time. Dude, I've been to Portugal and I've been to Hawaii in almost every time zone in between for live streaming and videography.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Portugal, I did a concert, a huge concert, which was nuts because, you know, bandwidth, internet, like all that. Trying to pre-produce this event, you know, reaching out to the venue in Portugal, time zones way different, language barriers, like. So basically when I showed up, a lot of it was just like, I hope this works.
What happens if it doesn't?
Figure out a way.
I like that answer.
You know, there's no such thing as no way. Like,
It's like holding your cell phone with like
there's always a
if
way.
you have to.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a way. Yeah. And then, yeah, Hawaii was a motivational speaker that I was broadcasting, and he was doing live events and taking live chats, and he would answer the live chats during his presentation.
How did that guy find you?
A referral, actually, from the musician that did that Portugal concert. Yeah. Yeah. Referrals have been the majority of what my clientele have come from by far.
Because you talked about it that way, like a concert and a motivational speaker in Hawaii, you're putting the cost on a pedestal, but it's not.
No.
Can you talk a little bit about like it's not cheap to send 3 guys there and $10,000 worth of equipment and stuff like that, but
Right.
But break down the barriers of, you know, if I wanted to do something small, like what's the smallest we're probably talking about?
So we have what we call like our single cam basic, which, you know, so our single cam basic live stream is actually what like St. John's Prep uses a lot, right? Depending on the event, they'll do multiple cameras if they need it. But for a lot of our athletics, we can just do a single cam basic, comes with graphics, comes with other stuff. Doesn't come with instant replay, but we can do that. But yeah, so basically in the production world, more often than not, everyone works in either half day or full day productions. So that's basically like I was actually just talking to someone yesterday where they're doing a service that's a couple hours long, but I told her she's in the half day production box. And she was like, well, you know, but it's only a couple of hours. But, you know, logically, we're going to show up a couple of hours early, at least. Your event's a couple of hours, and we stay at least late for cleanup and, you know, anything post that needs to be done. So really, there's 2 boxes. There's half day or full day productions. And then as far as like the variables that affect that, how many cameras, you know, what are the bells and whistles, graphics, other stuff you need. So it's so hard to give like an exact number. But we can be in the hundreds range if you're in the half production world versus full day production, you're in the thousands range or more. Yeah. Not like the hundreds of thousands, unless it's like a crazy event. But, you know, that's like kind of the difference I would say is if you're in this half day production box, we can keep it in the hundreds space versus if you get to full day and multiple cameras and whatnot, it can really spike.
So if you wanted to live stream your wedding, so Mima, who can't travel, can watch it, and other people can as well.
Yeah.
We're in a full day because we want to do both the reception and the ceremony.
Yeah.
Let's just say.
Yeah.
A couple $1,000, you know, simple.
Sure. If we're not doing crazy cameras and yeah.
Maybe Isaac is there, 2 guys setting it up.
Yeah. Yeah, we can be in that range. We can be in that range of like the, you know, thousands depending on, there's so many variables, right?
Oh, I know.
Do I need to bring Starlink satellite internet? Do I need to bring like 4 hotspots? And then what about, you know, for a wedding, you're not going to go crazy with graphics. Am I bringing an audio type of system to help bridge that gap? Because that's another thing too. With like the pandemic, people always ask about the pandemic. And yeah, we got a crazy spike, obviously. It was just nuts. The biggest spike was weddings. Like by far, weddings.
Because people wanted other people to enjoy it, but we couldn't get together.
They had their wedding go from 250 attendees or, you know, 200 attendees down to 25.
Yeah.
They were literally forced to like, no, sorry, you just can't do any more than 25. You know what I mean? And even like, depending on the situation, if you're indoors, even that was complicated, right? So weddings, we got a crazy spike. And since then, that spike has like really diminished with weddings, right? And we're doing more videography for weddings now. But for those that have, like you just said, if a grandparent or someone physically unable to go can't be there, we'll live stream it. We see that a lot with like, different cultures or different, where someone has family abroad. We actually find that the most. That's what we're getting live streamed the most, is if like I have family abroad or friends abroad that just can't be there, and we want them to see at least the ceremony.
And it doesn't, you brought up something there, it doesn't have to be live streamed. It can just be video capture.
Yeah.
So you could record a wedding just as
videographer, cinematographer. Yeah.
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 And you'll edit it and you'll
our videography for weddings comes with like you get you get 3 deliverables, I say. The first one is a 48-hour sneak peek of what we're putting together, right? So you're getting something within 48 hours, right? The second one is, it takes us, like, to do these edits does take time, besides the 48-hour. That's why we turn that around so quick, so you get something.
Yeah.
Then we put together your full, like, package, which is, like, you're getting the full ceremony, you're getting the full speeches, the full first stances, you're getting all of that. Like, it could be a 50-minute edit, depending on how long the ceremony is.
Yeah.
Or longer, So you get all of that, and then you get, like, an event highlight. So that 50 minutes gets trimmed to like 15, where it's like a very cinematic style highlight of your day with our wedding videography packages.
And you could take that idea and translate that to a bunch of different things, a bunch of different uses that aren't weddings. It could corporate events, or
we do corporate highlights all the time,
or your volleyball match.
Yeah. The AVP, the Association of Volleyball Professionals. I've been working with them for like, gosh, we're pushing like 5 years working with them. Traveled the country, professional volleyballers. Like,
yeah, you're like ESPN nuts. The Ocho.
We've done ESPN 3 is as high as we've gone.
No way.
Yeah. For some D1 college. We were doing ESPN 3.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
ESPN's the show when it comes to sports.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a cool experience.
So if somebody wanted to get a quote from you, hear more, toss around an idea, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
So streamography.com.
Okay.
It has a lot of information on there. There's, my phone number's on there. There's a form to submit some information, and I will reach right back. It all goes to me. And so the way our process works, whenever someone comes in, we have what's called our goal-oriented process, where we gather information, we organize our thoughts and come up with a plan, and then we adjust, because once we've organized, there's always an adjustment period, and then we level up. So once we take our plan, and what does level up look like? For each individual, it's different. For each organization, it's different. But we always have a leveling up process, where it's like, what does above and beyond look like for you? And that's what we look to do.
Yeah, because they don't even know. Like, I think that's one of the problems that you're going to run into all the time, is that they don't know what's capable, and so it takes you kind of an idea from a eyes of experience to say, oh no, like, this is what you're going to want.
Yeah,
like, this is what we're going to do here.
Right. Like in the case of like, we can come and do some cinematography, but a one that goes hand in hand all the time is audio. Like for like a wedding, individuals don't realize like, oh, like if we don't have audio figured out, the video won't hear it.
Yeah.
So we have to come in and actually provide that leveling up. For that is like, all right, we'll provide a microphone and a simple little audio system just to make sure we can hear it at the camera. Because for us to provide a good product, we need audio.
Yeah.
So that's like one very common scenario where we level up. It's like, all right, we'll work in an audio best case practice here just to make sure it looks good.
Like,
a graphics package.
Yeah. Oh,
is leveling up.
When you can like layer over some of those graphics, it's all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
They don't realize that.
Especially in a lot of corporate, like they love like the graphics packages. Obviously, athletics for scoreboards and that stuff. Like a stinger that plays beforehand. Like we'll do all that stuff as a leveling up package. Corporate could be projection or uplighting. Like if they're in a venue that's like nice, but there's no pop, we could be like, all right, let's talk about uplighting. Let's add a color of pop in your venue just to make it look beautiful.
You've thought of everything.
Yeah.
They're like, we just want one camera. It's like,
I drive my wife nuts with my thinking. That's what really happens. My poor wife is like always hearing about my ideas. I've actually tamed it down, I think. I try when I'm home to not talk about it. But that's just me just trying so hard not to always talk about it.
Yeah, you're just in it.
Oh, dude, I'm thick in the thick of it.
That's what I'm here for, to hear you. That's why we're best friends now.
I appreciate you.
Dude, I'm the same way. That's all I do is I talk about my work.
Yeah.
I'm just so into it. That's what makes it fun, though.
Yeah.
A lot of people go to
The
work
passion.
and then they just think about like the TV show they're gonna watch that night, and it's like, that's not me.
Right.
This is my TV
Thinking
show.
about the business and operations and like how to make things run smoother and organization of all this gear and
Yeah, I'm worried about my people.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like all that stuff.
yeah.
Andrew, I appreciate you coming on here and telling your story about streamography, bud.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things, if I were to sort of sum it up, like you started this like well before its time. Like you saw the vision of streaming, whether you want to take credit for that or not. And it's almost like streaming grew into your idea, you know, the rest of it around it, the infrastructure around it. And like, congratulations, I guess.
Yeah.
Because like you're traveling the world doing what you kind of loved doing, and you're doing it full time.
Yeah. That's where like if I take a step back to actually think about it, it's not even like I had the vision, but it wasn't like I was super long term with my vision as far as like I just found something that I loved and just wanted to do it a lot.
Yeah.
That was really like the short-term motivation. And now that I'm like 10 years in, I find myself thinking more longer term now than I used to. But yeah, no, when I think back to like I said, that was my first time traveling abroad. Live streaming brought me abroad.
Wow.
That was my first time actually, besides going on an island on a beach. That was my first time in Europe, I should say.
Yeah.
Was streaming brought me there. And then like going to Hawaii and like I've been up and down the coast of California, up that entire coast, Washington to Southern Cal, like
Yeah.
for streaming. It really is wild.
Just from right
It's
here
nuts.
in Gloucester,
Yeah.
in the Scott Oil building of Gloucester.
Yeah. And that's why this came to be, was I was out in the world doing all that stuff and was acquiring awesome gear. And finally, one of my buddies approached me that was like, so Andrew, do you need a space? At the time, I was like, no, I got my place. Like, stuff fits.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel like a home for streamography. It always actually felt like kind of more of a nuisance. As far as like, we're living in this space. This is our living space. And yet here's a ton of gear.
Yeah.
It needed a home. And I was actually talking with Ryan, our buddy Ryan from Black Bear Barbershop, about like what my vision was for here. And I worked with him to help come up with this space. He actually helped me a lot come up with this space and put the gear to use when it's not out in the world being used.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the entire
it gives
premise.
you a chance to bring the people in, to build the team and all that stuff.
And we could be more efficient and affordable in here,
Yeah.
where we don't have to lug lights, we don't have to lug audio, we don't have to lug cameras. If people come here and like, all right, I can work with that space. Like, let's just pump out social media content, a
Yeah.
podcast, like, and we can be affordable because we have control of everything here.
Yeah. No, I think that's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
I'm super proud of you. I'm glad I've gotten to meet you through doing this podcast. I think
Thank
this
you so
business
much,
is
dude.
great.
I appreciate you. What you do with like asking the questions and guiding the podcast. Like, this is not my forte. You know what I mean? There's a reason I'm behind the camera.
This is fun. I mean, more if you're not a part of the chamber, come join the chamber. You can come on the podcast absolutely free, and come meet like people like Andrew and the rest of the people in this community. It's awesome. I mean, these are really cool businesses right here in our backyard. Andrew, thanks for coming on, bud, telling the story and doing this production week in and week out. You know, not getting paid to do it.
Right.
Thank you.
Right. But meeting awesome people.
Yeah.
That's been a good benefit. So
You're the best, bud.
thank you, man. Appreciate you.